up, people? It's your boy Chig from Guna Eagle Eye, coming to you again with a brand new video. This time it's for another episode of Eagle Eye, a transfer rumour show. So I'm going to talk about a couple of stories. Some I may have touched on, but a couple of really new ones that came up towards the back end of yesterday. So let's go into it. First things first, let's talk about Nzonzi. So, as you know, he's a defensive midfielder that we've been linked with all summer. You guys know my feeling on Nzonzi. I personally don't think he's good enough. I feel like there are better defensive midfielders out there. I do think he'll do a decent job for us, but I just feel like, for me, I think you've given Nzonzi a new contract. You've not done what I would have done. You've given Xhaka a new contract. Supposedly we're on the brink of signing Torreira. So, given all of that, why would you also sign Nzonzi? But hey ho, apparently he's begging his team to leave. He's asked officially for a transfer from Sevilla, begging him to leave. They're said to be taking advisement with regards to whether or not they'll actually let him leave. His valuation is 35 million, so he's going to cost a lot of money if he is to come to Arsenal. But yeah, that seems to be interesting. That this story seems to be picking up a lot of traction in some of the publications in the UK at the moment. So yeah, Nzonzi. What do you guys think? Would you sign him? I personally wouldn't. I was never overly impressed when I saw him play for Stoke or Blackburn, and that's his Premier League experience. For Seville, he's done better, admittedly, but that just could be because the league suits him better. He is 30 years old, so you're not going to get a lot of resale value there. It's just, for me, I'd look past him. I do think a player of that type is needed, but I just don't think Nzonzi is it. I've never thought Nzonzi is it. But there you go. There's the story for today with regards to Nzonzi. The next one is Andre Gomez, who plays for Barcelona. 24 years old. At the moment, it looks like Emre's being linked with every number 8 in the Sun, and this is another example of that. I'm getting the opinion that there's not going to be a lot of more traction on a lot of the number 8s that we have been linked with in the past. So it just seems like Emre's looking at number 8s because he feels that that's a position that we need to solve. It's interesting because to me that's a Ramsey position. So the fact that we're being linked with so many midfielders, are we saying that Xhaka is not going to start a lot of games? Which I find quite interesting, given the fact that we've just given this kid a new contract. But yeah, we'll see what happens here, because we are being linked with a lot of midfielders at the moment, and this is one of them. Next story is Gonçalo Guedes, who is a Portuguese left-sided midfielder, can also play up top for Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain bought him for 26.5 million in 2017. But he only played 8 games for them. And then he went on loan for Valencia, where he did well, actually, compared to his PSG stint when he didn't do a lot. But he went to Valencia, ended up getting 5 goals and 11 assists, which, if you think about it, for a 21-year-old left winger, ain't bad. We do need a left winger. So the idea that he could do something and potentially later on down the line maybe become a decent striker or a decent threat for us on that left-hand side does sound exciting. He is set to be cost a lot, though. You know, if PSG are to part ways with him, bear in mind they're looking for money at the moment because they're in a lot of financial fair play trouble. So if they are to part with him, they are said to be looking for approximately 35 million. So that's a lot of outlay to put on a 21-year-old who, let's face it, is unproven. But he was at PSG. You would have thought Emre would have had some sort of look with him. Maybe he loaned him with the idea that he'd keep him as a future project. Maybe if a Draxler left, that make him then give him a run in the team. But I don't know. I like the idea of bringing in someone young to play that position, but, you know, not someone so unproven that we spend a shitload amount of money. You know, I don't want us to just spend money for the sake of spending money. We're going to improve that area, as I hope that we do. We need to look at the right player and spend the right amount of money on said player. So that would be my opinion on that. Right, next story. Havering Lozano is a 21-year-old Mexican, 22-year-old Mexican, apologies. He's actually turning 23 at the end of this month. Plays for PSV, scored 19 goals for them in 34 appearances last season, so a good goal-scoring record. I have to temper it by saying it is the Dutch league. You know, we've seen plenty of duds come from the Dutch league, who are supposed to be the next big thing. Ask United about that. Ask Tottenham about that. And didn't do shit in this league. Yes, we have had Van Persie, I hear you. But you know, we've had plenty of duds too. So I have to be cautious about that. But he's supposed to be very good and has been good during this World Cup. You know, scored the only goal for Mexico the other day to get them into the last 16. And he's been very, very good in the World Cup. He has someone that I believe has good talent. It's very clear that we're looking at that left-hand side, you know, because let's be honest, we ain't going to go and get a Dembele. Mahrez was just fanning about with that situation way too fucking long. Because to me, he would have been a good option to have on either wing. And he's more or less going to City now. So you may as well go after someone who's supposed to be young, up and coming, and can be exciting and can provide a different type of option. Seems like they've gone a little bit lukewarm on this Martins deal, which I'm a bit surprised about. I'm a bit surprised that it's gone a little bit sour. Maybe it's a bit complicated given the fact that we're hearing he signed his contract, but I'd be surprised if Sporting just said, yeah, that's cool. I'd be really surprised. So maybe that situation is just a bit messy, and Arsenal are very much about looking forward and trying to solve issues rather than waiting on people, which I'm all for. Believe me, I'm all for. There's no point waiting on a situation if it doesn't look like it's going to resolve itself. So I'm guessing this is another example of that. And for me, this kid looks good from what I've seen in the World Cup. I have watched Mexico, mainly for Carlos Vela. You know, I've always rated Carlos Vela. But I have seen what this kid can do, and he is very good. Very quick, very nimble, has a very nimble feet. Fleeting feet. You know what I mean, quick feet, motherfuckers. So, yeah, for me, good option. Said to be probably will cost him around about the 30 million euros mark, which, let's face it, that is today's market. If you're going to want someone young and talented, you're going to be looking to pay somewhere around 30 million. For me, I think this would be a good option. I actually think this would be a better option than the PSG guy I mentioned earlier. So, yeah, this is definitely something that I would like us to explore. Then the last story I'm going to talk about is Monreal. So Monreal, as with every season, is linked with a return to Spain. I think this will happen at some point. I'd be shocked if after having the season he had last season, where, let's face it, he was one of our very few shining lights. And to me, in my opinion, was player of the season. I'd be surprised if we just let him go. I think he's got probably about 18 months left at his very best. I say hold on to him for one more year, and we need to try and identify a left-back going forward that can push Kolasinac. But for me, I'm happy to keep him. I want us to reject him. He's being linked with Atletico Bilbao. We always have to deal with these stories every single year. I think it might be his agent trying to cleverly get him a new contract, because one may argue he deserves one after last season. So it feels like an agent-related story. But to me, I say just hold on to him as long as we can, until we identify someone who can take over. So that's that Monreal story. All right, people, I'm out of here. You let me know what you think about the stories I've discussed today. Leave it in the comments below. Am I completely wrong about Nzonzi? No doubt you guys will be spinning me rhyme and verse about why I'm wrong. Again, leave that in the comments below. And then in any case, I'm going to leave you all with your hangovers yesterday from England. Come on, England. Well done. You guys did so well. I'm legitimately happy. Legitimately happy. All right, people. I'm out of here. Take care. Deuces.